So my daughter was 5 when she's my oldest daughter. She was 5 when when I divorced her dad, and when Thanksgiving rolled around that year, nobody was everybody was sad, and we didn't feel like we had a lot to be thankful for. But Alice kind of saw an opportunity in that, and somehow, and she said, "So, Mom, how much is turkey a pound?" And I said, "I don't know, 29 or 39 cents a pound." And she said, "Well, how much is lobster?" And I said, "Maybe $14 a pound." And she said, "Well, I think if we're going to be thankful, we might as well be thankful with lobster." And I said, "Okay." And so it was. We had lobster. And that's the moment at which, when I realized that I didn't have to do the same thing every year. The kids could have cared less. Her little sister was 3 and her brother was 15, and they didn't care. And so sometimes we had mac and cheese, whatever. It didn't make any difference. But the big larger issue for me for that period of time was, what was I going to do on those alternating holidays and alternating years when they were with their dad and his new wife. And I tried to work at the shelters, and went to friends, but that was one day. And I thought, no, I have an entire week here that the kids are gone. And so I started taking road trips, and those, cheap flights that you can get on Thanksgiving Day they're always just such good bargains. And so I would take off and go someplace that I'd never been before. And I realized that when I was traveling and talking to strangers and eating with strangers, strangers always have a place for you to join them, whether it's for a drink or their home or a restaurant. People don't like to see people be alone. And so it was a welcoming place. And while you're traveling and learning and meeting new people, there's no room for sadness, really. And so through the years, I had many, many wonderful holidays with my children and my family, my mother, everybody. But the ones that I had when I was alone or with new people or meeting new people were the ones where I learned the most about myself and the world. So in 2011, I was teaching at Chongqing University in China. I was teaching English, and when Christmas came around, Thanksgiving and then Christmas, the holiday season in America, as they know it, which theirs is in February, they said, "So Ruby, tell us what it's like. Tell us what Christmas is like in America." And I said, well, because America, United States of America, is a country of immigrants, and we have many cultures, many religions, so it's celebrated separately, differently by many people. But my people are Irish, mostly Irish. My grandfather said that we're all mongrels because the Irish slept with everyone who came up the coast. But so I don't profess to be pure blood, but I did follow Irish traditions, and they were Christian. And so I said, so we have a big tree, like it kind of looks like this, only not so fancy, and we had gifts, and we have, and Santa Claus comes, and brings presents for the children, and then the mothers and the women, but mostly cook, and I don't know what the guys do. I can't remember them. They go off someplace, and which is true, isn't it? And then, but we share stories, and we share gifts, and we share food. And one of my students, Chinese students, said, "So Ruby, so what that sounds like is aside from having Santa Claus and a tree, it sounds like our holidays, because we share stories and food and presents." And I said, yes, that's it. We have much more similarities than we ever have diversity. We are all the same, with just a few exceptions. And that was a lesson for all of us at that moment. And so for that Christmas, I said, so we will have a tree, and I got the school to buy us a little tree about like this. But the next thing I know, it was turned into this magical little thing, because the girls, they strung these incredible strings of red cranes, all different sizes, and hearts and origami, all kinds of origami stuff all over this tree, and made pictures and hung them on the tree. And I said, okay, so we'll have a party, and I brought a big bowl I made hot chocolate, and they had never had hot chocolate. Hot chocolate was a big winner, man, I'll tell you that. If I had a little rum, it'd even been better, but that would be the Irish speaking. And then I found sugar cookies, because you can't find sugar cookies in China either. And I found sugar cookies at a French market, and then we sang, and I had downloaded a bunch of songs on my iPad, Christmas carols. And excuse me, I have to have a sip of this because my throat's really dry. And so I downloaded. We had carols with the downloads on my iPad, and I put the librettos, gave them sheets so they could read the words, and we all sang. And their favorite song, and we sang it twice, and we held hands, was Vince Gill's "Let There Be Peace on Earth." And it gives me goosebumps to think about it. And all of these Chinese kids, they were students, they were college age. We were all hanging out, singing, Vince Gill? Come on now. And let there be peace on earth. And I loved it. So now that was the class. I invited my staff. I was the director of the teachers, and I had 4 girls were in the office, and TAs, and there were 2 teachers. We all were teachers, and so 3 teachers, and several of my special students that I hung out all the time. And I had potlucks every month. Once a month, we had a potluck so we could share different foods. And so I brought this. I cooked dinner. Oh, this is a cool thing. Everything is chopped. Everything is chopped up in China for chopsticks. I never saw a knife on the table. I thought maybe the communists didn't allow it or something. I wasn't quite sure. But so I went to the Carrefour, which is the French market, and I said, I want to have, and I had one wok, 1 rice steamer, and a pot and 2 burners. And I had 12 people coming for dinner. And so I asked for chicken, and there were no turkeys. There's no beef either, really, that you can find. It was just chicken. And I said, I want chicken breasts, just the breasts. And she goes, okay. And I said, and not chopped, no chop, just full breast. And she said, okay, only. And I said, yeah, only whole. And she came through. She gave me these 6 breasts, and I banked them around the wok and put Great Wall Chardonnay in the bottom of the wok, slapped the lid on there, threw in some spices, slapped the lid on there, and let it cook for an hour and a half or whatever. God, it was so good. It was the best gravy I think I've ever made in my life. And for my tree, I found a branch about as high as I am out in the yard, and I brought it up through the elevator and put it in my living room and strung some lights on it, and that it like miraculously it also started having, every kid that came over brought something for my tree. And this tree was just amazing. It had love notes. I have all this stuff. It had love notes and poems and pictures of them for me to have on my tree. And cranes and fish and hearts, lots of hearts strung together. It was just incredible. And I loved it. And dinner turned out to be fabulous. I did the potatoes in the rice steamer or rice cooker. It doesn't matter what you cook in that. Anything will cook in that thing. And if talk about improv. And I smashed it with my wine bottle, the Great Wall wine bottle, and had gravy. And they've never had mashed potatoes. They love that. And I said, okay, so we're going to toast. Because it's Christmas, and Christmas is all about the Christ child. It's baby Jesus' birthday, and I said, I'm not the least bit religious, but we'll give credit where credit's due, and so we toasted to the baby Jesus and to having friends and sharing wherever you are in the world. And that was beautiful. So then this goes on. Christmas is over, and I can't take my tree down. I just can't. And every time people come to my potlucks and come to my house, they still bring stuff. So it's like dripping with things that are just fabulous. If you like, it reminded me of the trees I had when my kids were little, and they made all this handmade stuff with paper towels and paper plates and stuff. It was just fabulous. And so at the end of June, when I was packing to leave to go to Mongolia, my friend's Vivi, I had tutored her in a master's program, and she came by, with her boyfriend, and when they were leaving, she gave me this big hug, and she said, "So Ruby, do you mind if I take the love tree?" And I said, "Oh my God, that is what it is. Absolutely. The love tree's yours." So Vivi heads out with this dead branch with Christmas tree lights on it. Thank you so much.